what are we doing to address and think about the psychological factors of our own performance? So, for example, a huge number of musicians are perfectionists in some way. And, there's the positive side of perfectionism, the adaptive perfectionism, where it's like, yeah, like I can see that I'm pushing myself really hard from these perfectionistic tendencies, but I'm able at the same time to have an accepting view of myself and not beat myself up really hard for failures and that sort of thing.
It's like a
And
pursuit of
then,
excellence type of thing.
absolutely, like I think a lot of times we think you hear perfectionist and you think, oh, that's just a horrible thing to be. And actually, no, I think Noah Kageyama's blog is a wonderful interview on it with Christine Carter. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen that one. I'll have to
And Ellen
look it up and put it in the show
her
notes.
last name's escaping me. But talking about the difference between this maladaptive and adaptive perfectionism. And I think a lot of musicians fall into the maladaptive side where they push themselves extremely hard. I've certainly been guilty of this. Beating yourselves up like, okay, I'm just going to push myself as hard as I possibly can, and have over time, as part of that, develop an incredibly negative self-view, so that every performance or everything that even has the tiniest bit of failure feels like a massive failure. So I know I'm kind of wandering away from your initial question, but I do think that when I talk to a lot of people that have struggled with some sort of injury, it's interesting to me how many of them have something along those lines that's a common thread.
Yeah. And I definitely saw that. The reason why I'm asking that question is because I saw it myself, and you just kind of bring those things to light. And so kind of going into your, the training that you've gotten into through performance psychology and mental skills coaching and consulting, how has that influenced how you interact with people who are dealing with those types of things? And maybe if you want to kind of go into like how your injury kind of, moved you into that path of performance psychology, going that route, love to hear that as well.
Sure, absolutely. I think, going through the recovery from my injury was one of the main things that got me incredibly interested in performance psychology, because I found that even though the dystonia side of things is really difficult to retrain, I actually found by far the worst part of it was the psychological side, because I had spent so much time performing not trusting what I was doing, that I had really kind of gotten that self-message of like, oh, you can't trust how, that you can play anymore. And so I find that was one of the hardest things to recover from for myself. And I found that one of the things that helped the most is the performance psychology, abilities and the skills that you get from working with a performance psychologist or mental skills consultant, performance consultant. And it's, especially for me, it was the idea of figuring out how to manage my conscious attention. So I think a lot of people, both athletes, musicians, dancers that struggle with an injury and the recovery from it, actually struggle the deepest with learning to retrust their physical abilities, not actually
Absolutely.
just gaining the physical abilities back, right? So I think for what I see a lot in people recovering from an injury of some kind is, of course, perhaps some fear of, is my career over? How is this going to affect me long term? But even when they're starting to perform again, even just I don't want to say simple, but basic goal of developing trust again in their abilities. And that's a complex thing. It's not like one magic trick works with that. But I think maybe my overriding thing I want to say about that side of the recovery is that I think anybody with an injury does have to be really honest with themselves and aware of whether or not they are actually re-strengthening that trust in their ability. And you see this a lot in dancers, like, for example, that break an ankle and have the physical recovery in physical therapy and all of that. And then they have to then go on stage again, and they really question, do I have the strength to lift my partner and do all of this choreography? Am I going to hurt myself again? Or am I really ready? And so honestly, one of the primary goals of both physical therapy and the performance consulting is making sure, oh yes, that trust has been rebuilt. And you've really proven to yourself, yes, I have the strength again. So I think that's something we really have to prioritize with anybody who's recovering from an injury.
Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of Trust the Process, the official podcast of Musician Unchained, the newest coaching program dedicated to helping musicians navigate and overcome injury. But before you go, I have a few quick ways you can stay connected and support our growing community. First of all, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me a text with the link below and share your thoughts, questions, or just say hi. You can also check the show out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We also would love to see you in our Facebook support group, Trust the Process Podcast Injured Musician Support Group. If you found value in today's episode, consider making a donation to support our mission of empowering musicians worldwide. Every contribution helps us create more content and resources for you. So visit link number 2 below to support the mission. If you decide to donate, I'll send you my newest resource, the Injured Musician Toolkit, which is an ebook designed to give you tools to help you get through your injury. Subscribe to our newsletter to get exclusive insights, tips, sneak previews of episodes, and announcements straight to your inbox. Act now and I will send you a free gift. So sign up at www.musicianunchained.com/newsletter. And if you or someone you know would like to go deeper with me in the topics of injury and mindset, head over back to musicianunchained.com and check out the Let's Hang tab. As always, I want to thank Daniel Baldwin, my audio engineer, and my sister Dana Lovell for her help with the promotional materials. There is no podcast without them. But before I go, I want to tell you how much I deeply appreciate your time and support. You are not alone on this journey. There are musicians and educators out there who need this resource, and we need to get it to them. Together, we are breaking the chain of old habits and thought patterns that don't serve us anymore, and unchaining the potential within ourselves to face each challenge with strength and resilience. So, as I always say, keep on keeping on and keep trusting the process. Until next time.